Hello and welcome to Sports Life. I'm Tom Atherton. Sport in Yorkshire is dominated by big clubs and big names, from football and Leeds United to athletics with the Brownlee brothers. But this week on Yorkshire Sport, we focus on the stories and triumphs from the names you will never see in the paper. Amateur sport is thriving in Yorkshire, and this week we give credit where that credit is due. We take a trip to Leeds where basketball players from all over the world are hoping to make a name for themselves on the court. With the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, our reporters went and talked to women in Leeds who are taking American football to the highest levels in the UK. And staying right here in the home of our studios in Horsforth, Yarnbury Rugby is making big improvements to their ground. What could this mean for the club? Find out later in the show. But first, a tale of hard work, determination, talent and a little bit of luck. These are the ingredients for any young athlete hoping to hit the big time. And for one aspiring kickboxer in Sheffield, there is more ingredient needed for the mix: money. Kieran Cobley reports.
The 19-year-old started training in taekwondo and kickboxing at the age of 6. Since then, he's won multiple world titles at both junior and adult level in both disciplines, including 5 world titles at last year's Kickboxing World Championships in Athens. The success hasn't come easy for Aaron. All the successes so far have come from self-funding and from funding from his parents, meaning they've made a lot of sacrifices to make his dreams come true.
I'm looking for a sponsor so I can afford to get kit, also so I can get to training. I mean, I travel the country training, I go far and wide just to train, and it does cost, it gets quite expensive, as well as I travel the world competing. Again, it's not cheap. At the minute I have to pay for it myself. I work a full-time job, I have to fit training in as well, just so I can afford to go to these competitions.
Aaron's mum Sarah told us about some of the sacrifices the family has made in order for the youngster to achieve his dreams.
We've sacrificed family weekends, but part of being a family is supporting your children and encouraging them when they're doing well. We haven't had the family holidays because money's gone into helping him attend competitions and travel all over the world.
Our World Taekwondo chest drill instructor Stephen Wagstaff has trained Aaron since he was 6 years old. Here's his take on working with him.
So, he's a good lad, you know, he's listened to what I've said and he's got on with it and got stuck in and he's got to the grade where he is, so he's a good lad. I've got a pretty good relationship with him, to be honest, and I wouldn't have him in the club if he'd not got the respect and the integrity that he's got. He's an asset to this club.
It's not been easy for Aaron though. The 19-year-old's had a few difficulties in his personal life, and this year he looks to have a stacked calendar ahead of him.
I broke my leg 2 years ago in a bike accident. That was quite a slow recovery back into taekwondo and kickboxing. I've also suffered from depression. I still have bad days, but I come to training, I get picked up by my friends, they push me and they spur me to do better each time I come. I've got Taekwondo Worlds in Korea in 2020. I really want to get over there. I want to keep my title.
As for this year, Aaron has a stacked year ahead of him. The martial arts ace will make his K1 debut in April at Bramall Lane, and in the summer he'll be hoping to defend his world titles at the Kickboxing World Championships in Austria.
Kieran joins us in the studio now. Kieran, welcome.
Cheers for having me, Tom.
Now, why has it been so difficult for your brother to secure his funding?
It's partly down to how much coverage the sport gets. Kickboxing and taekwondo don't get a lot of coverage when you compare them to things like football and rugby, where they're in the paper every weekend for 9-10 months of the year. So it's partly down to that, but it's also down to it's not a mass appeal thing as well.
Now, your brother is preparing for his first K1 fight. What has his preparation been like in the build-up to it?
So for this one, he's changed his nutrition. He went pescatarian at the end of last year, but he's also been working on clinch work and elbows and knees in his fighting style, which is, you know, something he's had to add. It's not something he's had to use before.
Yeah, a lot of tough work, obviously. And what are Aaron's long-term goals past this first fight?
So long-term goals, next year he's hoping to have his first amateur MMA fight, and then he's hoping to progress in that within 5-6 years, be in the UFC with along with like the big stars like Darren Till, Conor McGregor, you know, making the big money.
Excellent. Well, thanks for that, Kieran. Now, American football is an odd sport in the UK. Its popularity is growing, but it is far from Britain's favourite sport to follow. But for one group of women in Leeds, the game is becoming a way of life, and their success on the gridiron puts them competing for titles every season. Ben Ramsdale reports.
I'm here at a chilly Leeds Beckett campus to interview the women's American football team, the Leeds Carnegie Chargers. They're the only women's American football team in West Yorkshire. I'm going to see how they're faring in this year's competition. With American football slowly growing in popularity in the UK, quarterback Lucy Petey and safety Naomi Harriman told us what inspired their interest in the sport.
I was inspired to play American football by the coaches who came and first delivered my session. So they came and I thought I'd give it a go. And I loved the way they coached and loved the way that they thought about the sport, and it just made me think that's something I want to do.
So I've watched it since when I was young, and I was originally a track runner, and I thought what's going to cross over well. I didn't want to do rugby because my dad's always done rugby, and I thought it's a sport where I can have speed but also hit people, and yeah, it's just super fun.
After talking about their pathway into the sport, the girls told us about why the women's game deserves more recognition.
The quality of football, even over the last few years, has just rocketed. We've got our European Championships coming up in summer 2019, hopefully being held in, definitely being held in Leeds. So I think the more recognition, the better.
Because it's all relative, isn't it? So we hit each other just as hard as males hit each other. And it hurts. And we play aggressively, and yeah, should have more recognition for sure.
The coaches also play such an important role in the team, so we spoke to offensive coordinator Taylor Umland and the girls on what it would mean to be crowned national champions.
It's almost indescribable, you know. We were in the final last year, and we took this team that hasn't lost in 5 years, and we took them to the brink. I mean, we gave them literally everything we had, and it came down to 2 plays is why we lost. So to be able to, you know, win that first title as a club would be amazing, especially for me as a second-year coach, to be able to lead a team that's putting up the most points in the country and, you know, finish that with a title. That's just finished business.
It means we've kicked someone else off their pedestal, which is fantastic, and also it will like spread the game more throughout the country. So we've always had one team that's like dominant, and if we have another team that beats them, then players will want to go around the country rather than just stay in one place.
It would be amazing. Currently we're ranked 2nd, so just to get that little bit further and get to gold would mean everything to every girl and every coach that comes here. It's what we've been working towards for the last 2 years since we became a club, really.
National runners-up for the last 4 years, the Chargers will be hoping to go one better this year and take the crown from the Birmingham Lions.
Amazing story there. Ben now joins us in the studio. Welcome, Ben. Now, the Chargers have come close to a title several times in recent seasons.
Yeah, I mean, actually it's 4 years in a row now. Birmingham Lions have taken the crown each of those 4 years, but the girls seem really confident they think they can take the crown this year.
And while the Chargers chase a title this season, one of the biggest finals in all of sports is coming up this weekend in the Super Bowl in Atlanta. The Los Angeles Rams meet the perennial favourite New England Patriots. How do you see this one shaping up?
I mean, it's hard to back against the Patriots and Tom Brady in a final, but I think you can gather by the jersey I'm wearing today, I'm backing the Rams on this one. I think it's going to be a high-scoring final, but I hope and I do think the Rams will take it.
For the less keen American football watcher that's watching the show, what can they take from the storyline in order to keep them interested, especially in the final third where they may not understand what's happening?
I mean, it's a difficult one, really. It's like the same with any sport. If you're not familiar with that sport, jumping into it, there's so many rules and regulations around any sport, especially American football. I'd just say watch it. Watch the Super Bowl. The more you watch, the more you'll understand, and it's a very easy sport to get into that I found.
Well, let's hope for a high-scoring game like last year. Cheers, Ben. Moving from one of the biggest stages in world sport to those trying to make their way up the ladder, the life of a young footballer or soccer player for our American audience is rarely smooth. Players often move clubs and try to seize every opportunity they are given. Marco Hopcutt had a chance to sit down with a young player making his way up the ranks and discusses what drives a player to keep each player going through each trial.
From a part-time academy to his first professional contract at Doncaster Rovers, Alpha Beeston finds himself with only 6 months left on his current deal. He's here on loan at the Pro Act at Chesterfield FC, where I've come to catch up with him, see how he's getting on and where his future lies.
I was just training, and then I was on my way back to Leeds, and then I got a phone call off the gaffer at Doncaster Grant McCann, and he told me that Chesterfield were interested. And as soon as I heard that, I thought, yeah, it'd be a good experience for me. Like, National League, I've never played there before, and I know it's a tough league, and
There's some tough teams, so I thought it'd be a good experience for me and it'd help me out physically.
Alfie signed a 2-year contract with Doncaster Rovers in January 2017, which will expire in June of this year. He has until the summer to try and earn himself a new deal with his parent club.
I think I just got to keep playing well, I'll keep playing games, and then when the games comes I think I'll start improving a lot more, and hopefully the manager sees that I'm improving and that I am actually good enough to stay at Doncaster for an extra few seasons.
Although Alfie's loan deal expires in mid-February, the 21-year-old is keen to remain with the Spireites until the end of the season to help their bid for survival.
Well, at the moment obviously we're struggling down at, in the relegation, so the main aim is just to get the club out of the relegation zone and keep them away from that, because it's a massive club and they don't deserve to be where they are right now.
Alfie made a great start to his Doncaster career, scoring on his debut against Mansfield in the Checkatrade Trophy. However, since the change in manager at the Keep Mill, his opportunities became limited.
I think that's all up to the manager, the gaffer, Grant McCann. But I'm just going to keep working hard. Like, if that is to go into the under-23s at first, I'll keep working hard just to try show them that I can get involved with the first team, back involved with the first team again.
Alfie hopes to return to moments like these in a Doncaster shirt, but whether that will be the case remains to be seen. Marco Hopcutt reporting from the Pro Act.
Athletes throughout Yorkshire are striving for success. From the pitch to the hardwood, titles could soon be coming for several local athletes, including a group of basketball players. However, this team is made up of players from around the world, hoping to grab a piece of glory in Leeds. Max Hunter reports.
Italy, Haiti, Guinea-Bissau,
Turks and Caicos.
Willie, welcome to my office.
You may think those are some brilliant ideas for your next summer holiday. They're not. They are the birthplaces of the stars of the Leeds City College basketball team. From humble beginnings to now at the top, let's check out how this unexpected rise came to life.
When I first came to this college, there wasn't really much basketball. There was a few recreational players and maybe a couple of players that wanted to take it a bit more seriously. But as the months went on, we realised there was a need for basketball at the college, especially for a lot of the students that came from overseas. We didn't have a sport that could cater to them.
I came over to the UK at the ending of 2017. It was a whole new environment. For me, coming from a small island.
It's very different. Where I'm from, it's hot, and over here, it's freezing.
Over the last 3 years, 90% of the basketball team have been born outside the UK, and it's been challenging, to say the least.
A lot of our players come from the most deprived areas of the city, and we're always reminding them that when they're out there on the court playing, they're not just representing the college, they're not just representing themselves, but they're also representing their local communities.
And through basketball, I learned how to better myself and my community.
Yes, it helped me certainly stay out of trouble and keep away from bad company.
It's staggering to believe that from having 3 players at the beginning of the season, they are now ranked one of the top 10 college basketball teams in England and Wales, and now on the running to being crowned champions of Yorkshire.
It's been amazing to see the results and how far we've come. At the start of the season, we didn't really know what we had, and to have beaten some of the colleges that we've beaten and now be nationally recognised, it's just a testament really to how much effort and how much hard work that the players have put in.
Well, I have a lot of fun every Thursday, every Friday mornings as well. Me here with the coaches and my basketball players, we working hard and we having fun as well.
Now, we've been lucky enough to be joined by the coach of Leeds City College, Will Hopper. Will, it's brilliant to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Will, this is your first coaching position in the first year of college basketball at the college. What potential did you see this team from the outset?
It was difficult because obviously we only had 3 players to start with, but the college in total has over 20,000 students. So we knew that if we could get that enthusiasm going, that we could have something.
Now, starting a team from scratch is difficult. Did you struggle to find players at the beginning?
Yeah, it was, because obviously basketball's not a mainstream sport. But once we got some players together and we moulded a core group, they went round recruiting from themselves, and then we were able to really kick on from there.
Obviously, a lack of players is a big issue. Were there any massive difficulties to overcome?
There was some. I mean, a lot of the students at the college are foreign, so their English isn't great, but that just meant as coaches we had to adapt and find new ways to teach so that everybody would understand.
All right, well, good luck for the rest of the season. Moving on to rugby and a local rugby club. Yarnbury have enjoyed playing on a new 3G pitch that was put in place at the end of December. Finley Calpathate reports.
Yarnbury Rugby Club in Horsforth have recently received funding from the RFU for a new 3G pitch which is used for rugby training and other sports.
Charlie Maunder, director of Otley Rugby Club, insisted that the 3G pitch is vital at this time of the year.
Facility, Pop. It's not bad. Obviously, nights like this we wouldn't be training, so yeah, it's all right.
However, he doesn't recommend all local clubs to have these facilities.
I don't think so. I think it takes away. There's no dodgy bounce. There's no controversy. It's all a bit clean and clinical. I think it's nice to have for training facilities in between 5 or 6 clubs that we can as a community thing. But from playing on it, a bit more of a traditionalist. I think lumps and bumps and hills and people falling over is a bit more fun.
With the wintry conditions arriving, the 3G pitch will be vital for training.
If you want to see Yarnbury in action on their new pitch, they are next in action when they face Roundhagens, Saturday the 16th of February. That's all we've got time for on today's show. We hope you've enjoyed the lesser-known sporting stories around Yorkshire today, and thank you to all the guests that joined me for their input. Please do join us next week. I've been Tom Atherton. Thank you for watching Sports Life. Bye-bye for now.